Hi everyone, welcome back to Yoga Berry. Today I've got a couple of exercises for you which are great to build up core strength, which is so important for good posture. They are some really good ones to practice, especially if you have lumbar scoliosis, so might feel a little bit of instability in the hips and in the lumbar spine. But just generally, if you're wanting to build up a little bit of strength in the body, fantastic to practice and safe for fused spines as well. My name is Christine Jareggi-Berry. I'm a yoga teacher specializing in yoga for scoliosis. I also run a lovely and supportive Facebook group called Yoga for Scoliosis Community. Please join us over on there if you or one of your loved ones have scoliosis. Really great way to open up the conversation and meet some other people who are going through the same thing as you. And if you like this video, please subscribe, leave me a comment. I always love to hear from you. Any suggestions, what you'd like to see would be very much appreciated. So let's get started with our practice today. All you need for this practice is a yoga block, or you can also use a small cushion or a book, for example. It has to be relatively thick, and I would suggest the best thing to use is the yoga block. Second best would be a cushion, which hopefully everyone has got. So let's get started. We're going to lie on our backs, and if this is uncomfortable for you, so if you have quite a large rib hump on one side, I would always suggest to maybe cover your yoga mat with a couple of blankets. We don't have to worry about slipping today because we're just going to be lying on the back. So even if you practice on a carpet, that's absolutely fine. I have quite a thick yoga mat, so I feel this is much more comfortable when I lie on my back. Good. So have the block somewhere close by, so you don't have to look for it when we get ready for it. Just take a few moments to get settled here. So just allowing for your back to drop into the ground, and you will always feel if there's some muscles that are holding back slightly. And then just make sure that your feet are parallel. So my right foot always wants to turn out. I have a left lumbar scoliosis and it just tends to go out that way, so I always have to bring it back, and then I check my other foot as well, just making sure that they're parallel and about hip distance apart. So just take a few breaths. There's no rush. Just allow for the body to settle into the ground, noticing how you feel today, connecting with your breath. All my practices are based on yoga. I am a yoga teacher after all, so the breath is very important. Good, and then let's take hold of our block, and we're going to bring the block in between the thighs and the knees, like so, and then bring the feet so they mirror the width of your block, or if you're using a cushion, again, just slightly more narrow probably than hip distance apart. Take the arms out, and you can decide if you want to have the palms facing down or up. And then on the next exhale, we're going to start to squeeze the block. So squeezing the inner thighs together. And then on the inhale, we're going to release, but without dropping the block. So it's just literally a muscular thing. You will not be able to see a lot from the outside, but there is a lot going on inside the body. So on the exhale, squeezing the inner thighs together, squeezing the block, and on the inhale to release without dropping the block. So just notice which muscles start to work. So I can definitely obviously feel it in the inner thighs. I can also feel my abdominal muscles, very deep ones into the core. So it's not the outer ones, the outer layers, the six-pack muscles. It's the deep inner core muscles that are starting to work, transverse abdominal muscles. So on the exhale, squeezing the block. And you can also imagine I like this visual image of the hip bones kind of moving closer together on the exhale. Yes, and then you will start to notice how the abdominal muscles start to work. On the inhale, you're releasing. Good. So we're going to do this to the count of 4. So exhaling to the count of 4, squeezing the block. And then inhale to the count of 4 to release without dropping the block. So I would recommend doing about 10 of these, see how you go, and then slowly starting to build it up. So it doesn't look like very much, but there is a lot going on inside the body. Always making sure that the shoulders, the neck stay relaxed. So it's nothing to do with the upper body, it's just an engagement of the lower body, inner thighs and core muscles. Good, let's do one more. Squeezing the block. And then slowly release and putting the block to the side. Good, so this is a great exercise if you suffer from SI joint pain, any hip stability, if you feel like your hips are moving a lot, it usually has something to do with strength, so really, really good one to do. And also the next one will be great to build up some of that core strength. So a little bit more tricky, we're going to bring the knees up. So the knees are stacked on top of the hips or slightly further in towards you. So if you feel it pulling in the lower back and you feel like you're really starting to arch and your pelvis starts to tip forward, then you need to bring the knees slightly further in towards you. It just means that your core muscles might not be strong enough just yet. Otherwise, we're always working with a neutral spine. So there should be a slight lumbar curve, but it's not an overarching and it's not a completely flattening into the ground. So neutral spine, flexing the feet. Arms can be alongside the body. After a while, if you're feeling really strong, you can take the arms up over the head and interlace the hands underneath the head. But I would suggest to start with taking the arms alongside the body. Flexing the feet, you might already start to notice the work, and this might be enough for you to begin with. Otherwise, we're going to start to add a little movement. So on the next exhale, slowly starting to lower one here down to the ground. So notice the shape of my leg hasn't changed. It's just literally hinging from the hips, slowly bringing it down. So again, there's a lot, it doesn't seem like very much, but there's a lot going on inside the body if you're really doing this with control. So I'm just alternating sides. So I've just done a couple on both sides. I'm going to take a break because you don't want to do this when you start to feel tired. So you always want to make sure you've got enough energy of the body. I'm resetting my spine again. And you really want to look out for any imbalances here. So if one side feels a lot stronger than the other, then that's a good indication of where you need to add a little bit of extra work. So on the next exhale, slowly lowering, inhale to bring it up. And I wouldn't suggest, obviously at some point you will get more familiar with the movements. I would not suggest to speed it up. I would really suggest to keep it as slow as possible. That's when maximum of the work is happening. And like that, you don't have to do very many of them. You could just do literally 5 on each side and you will definitely feel a difference. To come out, always good habits, bringing the knees in towards the chest, rocking from side to side. And then rolling yourself over to the side, slowly bringing yourself up into sitting. Good. I really hope that you enjoyed this. Feel free to let me know, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, or just leaving me any comments, and I'll see you very soon for the next video.